University presidents and CEOs are teaming up today to brainstorm on innovation and the economy at Bloomberg's Washington bureau. My colleague Megan Hughes was at the conference, and she joins us now with more. She has one of the attendees. Megan?
Hi there, Mark. I sat down earlier with John Engler. He's president of the Business Roundtable. That's a group of CEOs whose companies total nearly $6 trillion in revenue. He's also former Republican governor of Michigan. Now, on this panel, he was joined by some heavy hitter CEOs from SAS, Accenture, DuPont, Eli Lilly, Meritor, and Cummins, as well as university presidents from Harvard, Stanford, MIT, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, University of California, Davis, University of Iowa, and University of Virginia. Now, I started out by asking him where that group found consensus.
Well, there was simply no daylight between the CEOs and the university presidents about the role that innovation has to play in America's economy and economic growth. The thought being that innovation is going to be the key driver of economic growth, and only when you have growth you get job creation, which we desperately need now. And so what are the strategies? What matters when it comes to innovation?
And what grade, and was there any political consensus today on how this administration's done in doing that? Well,
I'll tell you, everyone was very happy about the recent patent protection legislation and pointed out the fact that this is an example of what happens when people work together. There were big coalitions outside the Congress. The coalition was able to work with a bipartisan leadership in the Congress, in both the House and the Senate, to get something done that is described, and the administration rightly takes credit for saying, look, 30 years or more, this has really been a fight that's been going on, and now we think the new patent legislation is going to be very helpful, give the U.S. a great 21st century system. And we're saying, okay, great, now we need to get bipartisan when it comes to immigration reform, get that talent into the country, keep the talent that we're educating in the country, get bipartisan when it comes to funding basic research, which is being done in a lot of the universities. And we had key university leaders there today, as well as recognize that 2/3 of the research is done in the private sector, of which about 2/3 is done by roundtable member companies. So we want to make sure those incentives are robust, that they're permanent, that they're reliable. And across the whole of government, let's see what we can do to wring this uncertainty out so we can plan on a future.
As far as immigration reform, what needs to be done as far as visas, and do you really see that happening? I mean, comprehensive.
I think it's very hard, and I kind of made the point that I think we're going to have a lot of people work together to come with a comprehensive plan, and maybe come to Congress on a very bipartisan basis and sort of have the country unite and come to Congress and say, the country's united, now we need your stamp of approval. Because I think the debate in Congress has gotten at each turn very political, and you saw the great efforts that were made by President George W. Bush and Senators Kennedy and McCain at the time, and that came apart at the end, or maybe I should say at the beginning, and didn't get done. We don't have a plan that's pending in the Congress at the moment. I'd love to see us do just the high end, the H-1B, the talent side of the equation. But I also recognize in Congress a lot of people say, well, I'm not going to do that until we can get the whole problem fixed.
So you're pushing comprehensive immigration reform. It seemed like there were a few different.
I think we would love to get the high end done, and we would say, and in fact, that has political consensus. Democrat and Republican leaders, members support that. They're just unwilling, pretty much everybody, let that go by itself. They should. It'd be good for the country. I think it'd be good for job creation. But if they don't, then we better figure out Plan B quickly.
The research and development tax credit, I feel like that's one area that we haven't hit on yet. How do you make that sell in these budget times?
Well, you know, it's been part of the budget. It's been part of the tax code since the early 80s. This is the 15th time it will expire at the end of the year. And it's been renewed, you know, every time. But it's not much of an incentive if it keeps expiring all the time. We're competing against nations who have a bigger, more beneficial R&D incentive, and it's permanent.
And this group did bring its ideas to both parties, meeting with representatives from the White House this morning and House Majority Leader Eric Cantor this afternoon. Mark?
Megan Hughes in Washington. Megan, thanks so much.